Welcome to our serene space tonight. Let all your day's worries melt away, pull up a warm blanket and dim those bright lights, allowing your soul to immerse itself in a captivating journey. In the gentle twilight, you'll feel a deeper connection to the extraordinary women of the American Revolution, the unsung heroines who quietly shaped a nation. From the vast farms they single-handedly managed while their husbands were at war, to the small makeshift workshops brimming with collective spirit, where every stitch and thread wove hope and resilience. You'll witness how they transformed their homes into classrooms, sowing the seeds of liberty and justice in young, tender hearts, and even join them in listening to the echoes of justice within the very halls of power. Each segment is a vivid portrait of intellect, courage, and boundless love. If your heart resonates with these stories, no matter where you are, perhaps on a cozy sofa or nestled in your warm room, please grant us a like, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next journeys, and leave a comment to share your thoughts. Together, let's ensure these historical echoes never fade. You stand amidst the coastal town, where the salty, bracing scent of the ocean air mingles with the faint, comforting aroma of pine, a familiar and evocative fragrance that every gust of wind carries. The bustle of the market square is a dense tapestry of sound, rich with vendors' calls and cheerful chatter, but your ears are attuned to what lies beneath. The heavy thud of British boots on cobblestones, the rough, guttural tones emanating from the tavern in the corner. You feel a subtle tremor beneath your feet, like a gentle current of electricity passing through the earth, signaling that something is shifting, a silent undertow gathering strength within this seemingly tranquil town. The early morning sun still kisses your face with a warm, gentle touch, warming your skin, yet you know this outward peace is but a delicate veneer. People often say that the most ordinary days sometimes conceal the greatest upheavals, secrets buried deep beneath the sands of time. You move through the throng with a quiet, unassuming grace, as if your only purpose is to find a fresh bunch of vegetables or a bit of fish for supper. But within, your mind ceaselessly arranges the scattered fragments of reality, tiny details that others might easily overlook. Every soft cough from a weary guard, every seemingly meaningless jest from a drunken sailor could be a crucial thread, a guiding clue for the intricate tapestry you are about to weave. You are an ordinary woman, yet you are learning to decipher the unspoken signals from the world around you, like a master weaver clutching the invisible threads of destiny. As the afternoon light began to fade, casting long golden streaks across the rooftops and the familiar dirt paths, Mrs. Martha approached you. Her eyes, usually twinkling with grandmotherly warmth, held a rare, serious glint, a deeper urgency that resonated in the quiet air between you. Mrs. Martha, a woman whose hands bore the marks of years tending gardens, and whose voice often shared the cherished secrets of making crusty, delightful bread, or gentle inquiries about the children's health, presented you with a spool of thread. The rough, familiar twine in your palm carried the subtle scent of fresh flax and a hint of damp earth, a fragrance that always spoke of honest labor. Yet this time you felt it carried an unseen weight, heavier than lead, a silent, profound responsibility. You felt each individual strand of the thread tightly spun, as if they were secrets themselves, patiently waiting to unravel and reveal their hidden truths. A sensation both novel and strangely comforting, tingling at your fingertips. Slowly, gently, like the quiet unfurling of a new leaf, you began to realize you were becoming a vital link in a silent chain of communication, a hidden river carving its path through the landscape of information. People whispered that your gentle discretion, coupled with an uncanny ability to recall the tiniest details with the precision of a flawless mirror, and a grace in communication as fluid as a meandering stream, had made you the irreplaceable choice for this delicate, crucial task. You possessed a unique gift, the ability to sense what lay beneath the surface, like a soft morning mist gliding effortlessly over all things, detecting the most subtle vibrations of life around you. This gift allowed you to hear the whispers of the wind, to perceive the hidden stories in a glance, and to move through the world like a tranquil dream, carrying the very essence of understanding that only you could grasp. You quickly mastered the delicate art of meticulous observation without drawing unwanted attention. You learned to distinguish the pungent, lingering scent of pipe smoke, distinctive to the British encampment, whenever the wind shifted gently, carrying its telltale aroma to your senses. You noted the precise number of supply wagons, their heavy wheels grinding softly on the uneven dirt roads, or the distinctive, rich mud clinging to the boots of a new officer recently arrived in town. You meticulously etched all these details into your mind, like an artist creating vivid, precise etchings, each line exquisitely fine, not a single superfluous stroke. Your routine trips to the market, your serene visits to close neighbors, all subtly transformed into precious opportunities to gather vital information. You always maintained a composed expression, your eyes as clear and unclouded as a still autumn lake, as if your deepest concerns revolved solely around the inviting warmth of your kitchen hearth and the cheerful, innocent laughter of children at home. Your inherent calmness was not a cold, impenetrable wall, but rather a soft, enveloping mist, gently obscuring any true intentions, allowing you to drift through the crowds like a delicate, wind-borne leaf, utterly unnoticed in the profound responsibility you silently carried. There were moments, inevitably, when you faced the sharp, scrutinizing gazes of British soldiers as they meticulously inspected the goods in your humble cart. You felt a fleeting, cool whisper of wind from their direction, carrying the distant scent of authority and unfamiliar dust. Yet you maintained the gentle, unwavering smile, like a lotus blossom untouched by the mud below. Your eyes remained steadfast as ancient stone, without a tremor of hesitation. The serene calm you radiated made all curious glances dissipate like morning dew under the rising sun's gentle touch. Only the venerable old walls of the town, silent witnesses to countless ebbs and flows of time, truly knew how many crucial secrets were quietly passed not through loud declarations, but through the extraordinary composure and seemingly innocent, graceful gestures of women like you. People often remarked that the profound tranquility in your eyes, a stillness no one could quite explain, caused every suspicion to simply fade away like thin smoke. Every message you carried, every fragment of information you thoughtfully relayed, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, had the potential to become a crucial note in the grand, unfolding symphony of freedom, contributing to something far greater than its individual sound. You understood profoundly that these seemingly disparate pieces of information, when subtly connected by your innate wisdom and gentle discernment, would gradually paint a vivid, complete picture of a brighter future for an independent nation. You were not a hero wielding a sword, but rather a quiet gardener, delicately planting seeds of hope in the fertile soil of revolution, not through violence, but through your enduring wisdom and persistent, unwavering grace. With each successfully completed task, you felt a gentle warmth blossoming within your chest, a profound sense of relief and deep satisfaction, like the soft, steady rhythm of a strong, growing belief within your heart. As night gently descended, the silver moonlight poured through your old window pane, meticulously painting intricate, shifting patterns on the wooden floorboards, each luminous streak a silent promise of hope. You sat quietly by the fireplace, the fire's gentle crackle, warm and comforting, serving as a soothing soundtrack to your contemplations. The secrets you carried, carefully guarded deep within your mind, were like precious gems hidden beneath the earth's surface, their existence known only to you. The steady hum of crickets just outside, a natural lullaby of the tranquil night, gently caressed your spirit, guiding you towards a profound sense of inner peace amidst the world's constant shifts. You would sometimes lightly touch the rough spool of thread, feeling the subtle softness of the linen, recalling the invisible messages it once held, like a quiet reminder of your indispensable, unseen role. In these serene moments of quiet solitude, you felt a deep, abiding connection to the grand, overarching purpose, a powerful sense of belonging to the unfolding tapestry of history, yet one that felt profoundly personal and intimately yours. You let out a soft sigh, a steady, quiet breath of gentle release, like the last whisper of wind at the close of day. A faint smile touched your lips, a silent acknowledgment of a mission beautifully accomplished. Though your name might never be etched onto grand historical scrolls, and your efforts might never receive public acclaim, you knew deep within the quiet sanctuary of your heart that you had contributed to something truly extraordinary, like a tiny dewdrop reflecting the entirety of the vast sky. The journey of a silent messenger, of a wise, quiet phantom whose impact no one truly suspected, would continue. You gently placed the spool of thread down beside you, the soft click of metal against wood, barely audible, like a gentle promise for the next leg of your adventure, a faint whisper of freedom that lingered in the air. Your eyes softly closed, but your mind remained quietly open, like a gate awaiting the dawn, ready for the new whispers that tomorrow would surely bring, a story not yet concluded, merely awaiting your return to continue its gentle unfolding.
From afar, a steady, rhythmic sound echoed, like the gentle hum of a summer thunderstorm gliding high above the distant fields. It was a familiar resonance, yet it carried a new, compelling undertone, nothing frightening, merely an integral part of the very air in this place. You breathed deeply, inhaling the damp scent of earth after a recent rain, mingled with the wild, untamed fragrance of distant grasses, and felt a subtle, unyielding urge, a quiet desire to offer aid that bloomed softly within your heart. The atmosphere here held a unique, palpable energy, not of fear, but of an urgent, shared purpose, a collective heartbeat pulsing with an unspoken hope. You moved towards the rudimentary canvas tents, with a soft glow of oil lamps pierced through the thick fabric, casting dancing shadows that hinted at lives stirring within. the hushed murmurs of the soldiers, the gentle clink of medical instruments all blended into a soft symphony of life and quiet, persistent endeavor. You saw faces etched with weariness, yet illuminated by a quiet resolve, their eyes like distant stars in a moonless sky, awaiting whatever the dawn might bring. Before moving deeper into the encampment, you paused for a tranquil moment, allowing your senses to absorb the scene. Your gaze swept over the tired yet resolute faces of the soldiers, each one a canvas painted with stories untold. You noticed other women already a flurry of quiet activity, some tending warm cooking fires, their gentle crackle a soothing rhythm, others carefully bandaging minor abrasions for those with superficial wounds. You discerned the faint antiseptic scent of disinfectant in the air, a clean, almost hopeful aroma, intertwining with the warm, earthy steam rising from large pots of simmering water. A soft question formed in your mind, like a quiet ripple on a still pond. What can I, a woman without a weapon or knowledge of battle strategy, truly contribute here? Yet even as the thought took shape, a deeper, intuitive knowing bloomed, as clear and certain as the morning light. Then, a low call emerged from the periphery, soft as a whispered prayer. Water! Your eyes located the large wooden barrels of ammunition, neatly stacked, yet visibly heavy, like ancient, silent sentinels of the conflict. You began to help move the small, coarse canvas bags of gunpowder, the grainy texture of the powder feeling rough yet purposeful beneath your fingertips. With each bag successfully transferred, you felt a small, quiet ripple of satisfaction, as if you were subtly placing another solid brick into a towering, unshakable wall. You noticed the ragged breaths of the soldiers. Often they could only manage to offer a quick, grateful glance, a silent acknowledgement more profound than any spoken word. When you carried ladles of cool, refreshing water, you could feel the intense yearning radiating from their tired eyes, like parched earth longing for rain. The simple, resonant gulping sounds as they drank echoed in the quiet air, a sound both basic and deeply meaningful. You also offered dry, humble pieces of hardtack, the faint, comforting scent of baked flour still clinging to them, small provisions that, despite their simplicity, were a vital source of precious energy, like tiny sparks igniting weary bodies. You moved fluidly between positions, from the powder stores to where a parched throat needed soothing, like a silent shuttle weaving threads of connection. Each step you took was gentle, deliberate, aiming to make no loud sound, as if you were gracefully dancing on an invisible carpet. You learned to read the unspoken language in their eyes to understand their needs, sometimes offering nothing more than a soft, reassuring nod, a silent comfort that transcended words. Though you carried no weapon, you felt the profound weight of responsibility settling softly upon your shoulders. Every bag of powder you bore, every ladle of water you offered was a quiet burden, yet never truly heavy. Your feet gradually grew weary, a dull ache spreading through them like warm honey, but a persistent, gentle thought propelled you forward. Every small act contributed to something immeasurably grander. You keenly felt the oppressive heat radiating from the ground as the sun climbed higher, a silent, pervasive presence, or the profound chill of the night when the dew settled, biting into your bones. The wind's whistle through the sparse trees sometimes carried unfamiliar sounds, making the air strangely, eerily still. You also observed faces smudged with earth, their weariness apparent, yet deep within their eyes glowed an unyielding hope, like distant campfires in the darkness. Occasionally you heard the strange, soft whistle of the wind as it sliced past your ear, a sound you instinctively knew meant it was time to duck down low. It wasn't a gripping fear, but a natural vigilance, a primal instinct whispering cautionary tales. You didn't dwell on the potential dangers, only on the task at hand, on the invisible thread connecting you to these brave soldiers.
In those rare, quiet moments of respite, you listened as the soldiers recounted tales of extraordinary women who had achieved the seemingly impossible. People whispered that there were women like Molly Pitcher, who strode through barrages of bullets as if walking through a field of wildflowers, carrying water to the thirsting warriors, her steps as steady and unwavering as time itself. And Deborah Sampson, whose courage transcended all conventional boundaries, devoted her entire heart and soul to the cause. These stories were not mere narratives. They were warm embers igniting a profound fire within your own heart, each word a gentle spark of inspiration. You felt an invisible thread of connection to them, to all the women who had quietly contributed, who were contributing now, and who would contribute in the future. You were not alone in this quiet, shared purpose. You recognized that true strength was not solely found in brute force or the glint of a blade, but in the gentle perseverance, the boundless compassion, and the unyielding will to never surrender. These very qualities were what allowed you to stand firm and continue your vital work, like a small, resilient stream that ceaselessly flows despite encountering countless rocky rapids. After those urgent, fleeting moments passed, a profound shift settled upon the faces of the soldiers. They regarded you with eyes full of quiet respect, softened like warm rays of sunshine after a sudden summer squall. They might not have voiced their gratitude, but their knowing glances, their small, sincere nods of acknowledgement were the greatest reward, a tender warmth spreading gently through your very soul. This unspoken recognition, a silent bond woven in shared purpose, was far more precious than any gleaming medal. You understood with absolute certainty that even without directly engaging in armed combat, your quiet presence and active contributions were utterly indispensable. You were not a hero on the battlefield in the traditional sense, but rather a tranquil lighthouse of unwavering hope, a steady anchor amidst the turbulent moments of conflict, a comforting light in the deepest, most shadowed corners. Only the ancient emerald-green hills that had silently borne witness to the entirety of this arduous conflict truly knew the full extent of your contributions in those pivotal moments, each seemingly small act a silent prayer whispered for ultimate victory. As night gently drew its dark, comforting curtain across the sky, and the stars began to pierce through, twinkling like distant, ethereal jewels, you quietly pondered the extraordinary experiences you had just endured. You realized, with a newfound clarity as luminous as the brightest morning star, that you were immeasurably stronger than you had ever dared to imagine. This profound journey had unveiled a deep, previously hidden facet of your being, a boundless reservoir of resilience and compassion that had quietly lain dormant, awaiting its powerful awakening. You now understood that true strength resided not merely in physical might or raw power, but equally in an unshakable spirit, the quiet determination to alleviate suffering, and the steadfast courage to step forward when others might falter. You had faced uncertainty with an innate grace, hardship with unyielding fortitude, and even danger with an inner calm that surprised even yourself. Every vivid memory was a precious, multifaceted stone in the intricate mosaic of your personal growth, each one reaffirming the quiet, boundless power that resided deep within you. You settled down by a small campfire, the gentle, rhythmic crackle of the flames a soothing balm to your weary soul, its warm embrace a silent, comforting lullaby. You watched the soldiers as they slept soundly, their faces relaxed in the peaceful slumber of exhaustion. You knew, with a quiet, unwavering certainty, that you had fought not with a musket, but with every fiber of your being, with your profound empathy, your tireless care, and your unyielding belief in a better future. This story, a tale of quiet courage and the extraordinary, often unseen contributions of women, would be whispered through generations like a soft, timeless breeze, a tender, enduring reminder of the immense, hidden strength residing within every human heart.
The gentle, comforting scent of dried herbs mingled seamlessly with the subtle, lingering warmth of the hearth fire, a fragrant tapestry delicately permeating the small, humble dwelling you had quietly transformed into a makeshift infirmary. From a dimly lit corner of the room, a soft, almost imperceptible breath rose and fell, frail as a butterfly's wing, yet resonant as a whispered plea for hope. You knew with a quiet certainty that settled deep in your bones like a deeply rooted tree, that this humble space had become a peaceful haven for weary souls in dire need of solace and gentle healing. The very air itself seemed to hum with a silent promise of restoration, a testament to the profound compassion that now flowed freely within these simple walls. Every shadow stretched long and still, like quiet sentinels guarding fragile lives, while the soft sounds of stirring were as delicate as a distant dream, reminding you of the precious, sacred task at hand. Your presence here was a soft, unwavering light in the shadows, a quiet guardian of hope. Each morning, as the first hesitant rays of sunlight timidly crept through your small window, painting the floor with gentle, waking patterns, you were already awake. The soft, lingering warmth from the stove still embraced the air, intertwining with the earthy aroma of dried leaves and the subtle sweetness of herbs already laid out for the day's tasks. Your initial work was to ensure the space was immaculately clean and organized. You quietly swept the earthen floor, each gentle swish of the broom a rhythmic whisper of dedication, and meticulously rearranged the thin blankets for each soldier, ensuring everything was as neat and comforting as possible. This was a silent labor, yet it was the very foundation of the calm and peace you sought to cultivate within these walls. You delicately adjusted the fabric curtain, allowing the natural light to softly filter in, a gentle illumination rather than a harsh glare. The crisp, fresh air of the early morning poured into the room, carrying with it the cool touch of dew and the vibrant scent of fresh grass and growing things. You then reached for your small wooden box, a worn treasure chest holding your precious tools. The smooth, familiar feel of the polished wood beneath your fingertips brought a quiet sense of reassurance, like the steady beat of your own heart. Inside, nestled carefully, were rolls of pristine white linen, laundered and dried with meticulous care, the faint, clean scent of sunlight still clinging to their fibers. There were sharp, gleaming sewing needles, each one a tiny silver arrow of healing, carefully wrapped in a soft cloth to prevent rust. Small glass bottles held alcohol or apple cider vinegar, their mild, pungent aroma subtly wafting as you unstoppered them, ready for the vital task of cleansing. And of course, there were carefully bundled pouches of dried herbs, nettle, plantain, chamomile, each possessing its own distinct earthy fragrance,
a silent promise of soothing relief. You also kept a small, sharp knife, its blade glinting softly, used for precisely cutting cloth or peeling bark from medicinal plants. The blade gliding smoothly over your whetstone with a soft, whispering hiss. All these items were meticulously arranged, a testament to your painstaking precision and thoughtful care. Every single tool was handled with a profound reverence, as if each possessed a fragment of a soul, participating in this sacred journey of healing. The soldiers you cared for often bore the lingering marks of conflict, sometimes shrapnel wounds, their edges ragged as broken glass, or deep, clean cuts from bayonets, or even simple sprawling abrasions from falls in the dense forest. Occasionally, there were fiery, stinging powder burns where gunpowder had scorched their skin, leaving it red and agonizingly taut. You noticed the various shades of discoloration, the subtle swelling that hinted at deeper trauma, yet your focus remained on the healing, not the hurt. There were also those afflicted with high fevers, their bodies burning like a summer hearth, their eyes glazed and distant. You felt the intense heat emanating from their foreheads as you gently laid your palm upon them, a faint wave of concern rising softly within your heart. Not uncommon were the hardened calluses and raw, painful blisters on their feet from long, arduous marches, their skin cracked and agonizingly tender. You understood that these wounds, though seemingly minor, could easily fester and lead to serious infection if not diligently attended to.
Each time you encountered a new wound, you felt a gentle constriction in your chest, a quiet pang of empathy. But this was not fear. Rather, it was an overwhelming surge of compassion that swelled within you. You knew you had to maintain your composure, your hands forbidden to tremble, steady as the earth beneath your feet. You took a deep, deliberate breath, the soft, soothing aroma of herbs gently calming your spirit, and then, with quiet determination, you began your work. You felt the subtle elasticity of the skin as your fingers delicately explored, the rough, dry texture of the wound's surface as you meticulously cleansed it. Every single one of your senses converged upon the task at hand, like a dedicated artist, carefully tending to their most precious, intricate masterpiece. You commenced by gently cleansing the wound with warm water and a touch of apple cider vinegar, its mild tang a sign of its purifying power. The warm water flowed softly over your fingertips, carrying away dust and unwanted debris, a cleansing ritual. You observed every minute detail, ensuring nothing was overlooked. Occasionally, a soldier might let out a faint, soft groan, a weak, drawn-out sigh, but you understood this to be a gentle sign of relief as the wound was carefully purified. You then meticulously used a soft piece of linen cloth to dab the area dry, feeling the gentle absorbency of the fabric against their skin. Next, you gently crushed fresh leaves, perhaps plantain, its scent green and subtly pungent, on a small, smooth stone slab, their verdant, sharp aroma subtly filling the air. You then carefully applied the herbal mixture to the wound, feeling the immediate cool, soothing sensation of the balm spreading. You held an unwavering faith in the quiet power of nature, in the ancient remedies your mother and grandmother had lovingly passed down to you. Finally, you carefully wrapped the pristine white linen strips around the wound, meticulously, layer upon layer, with a steady, unwavering rhythm. The soft caress of the fabric, embracing the injury, brought a profound sense of comfort. You tied the knot gently, ensuring the wound remained secure, yet not overly tight, allowing the vital blood to circulate freely. For those afflicted with fever, you gently placed cool, damp cloths upon their foreheads, feeling the refreshing coolness slowly permeate their hot skin. You brewed warm herbal teas, the sweet, comforting fragrance of chamomile blooming with the rising steam. As you brought the cup to their lips, you felt their soft, shallow breath caress your fingertips, a subtle, beautiful sign of life slowly returning. You would sit beside them, sometimes simply resting a hand lightly on their arm, a gentle touch imbued with immense, quiet strength. You felt the steadying rhythm of their heartbeats gradually normalize, watched as their eyes slowly regained a peaceful clarity. These were your most cherished moments, when you knew your gentle care was making a profound difference, like the first golden rays of dawn banishing the deepest shadows of night. A serene evening settled upon the landscape, yet you felt an unsettling stillness in the air, a silence profound enough to make your very skin prickle with an ancient knowing. The gentle chorus of birdsong, usually a comforting backdrop to your chores, had fallen utterly silent, as if the very breath of nature had been momentarily held, and you knew, with a certainty as cold and sharp as winter air, that you must pay close attention, tuning your senses to the world's softest whispers. You peered out through the small, wavy glass of the window, its imperfections distorting the fading light, towards the distant dirt track, where a faint ethereal plume of dust began to rise, swirling softly against the twilight sky, a subtle yet unmistakable harbinger of unwelcome visitors, their presence a growing tremor on the horizon. Your heart, usually a quiet drum within your chest, keeping the rhythm of your peaceful days, now beat with a focused intensity, like a blacksmith's hammer against an anvil, preparing for what was to come. Every fiber of your being became a finely tuned instrument, vibrating with anticipation, listening for the slightest shift in the wind, the faintest sound that might break the eerie silence. You were not a warrior of the battlefield, clad in uniform and armed with a musket, but a guardian of the hearth, a silent sentinel protecting your most precious world, a world held together by threads of love and quiet resilience. With a quiet urgency that belied the growing tension tightening around your throat, you swiftly moved to conceal your most cherished possessions. The worn, hand-stitched quilts, soft as a cloud against your cheek, the precious silver locket inherited from your grandmother, its cool weight a comfort in your palm. Your small store of precious flour and salted meats, each item was handled with a gentle reverence before being tucked away. More importantly, with a mother's fierce protective instinct, sharp as a winter's first frost, you ushered your beloved children, their small hands clinging to your skirts, into the secret hideaway beneath the sturdy floorboards. The faint earthy scent of damp soil rose from the cool darkness below, a rich, primal aroma that paradoxically brought a profound sense of temporary safety and refuge, a comforting embrace of the earth itself. Your palm instinctively tightened around a familiar wooden staff, its worn smoothness a testament to countless chores and simple protections, a sturdy piece of oak you always kept close, leaning against the kitchen wall, ready to defend your family with a quiet, unwavering resolve, as steadfast as the ancient rocks that formed the very foundations of your land. Each hidden item, each whispered instruction to your children to stay quiet, soft as a dove's coo, was a small prayer for their security, a silent act of defiance against the encroaching uncertainty, a tiny seed of hope planted in the dark. You moved with the fluid grace of a shadow across the floor, your movement swift yet unhurried, like a dancer in a sacred ritual, preparing for a performance no one wished to see. Then the inevitable intrusion shattered the fragile peace, the jarring sound of heavy boots followed by the splintering crash of the door as British soldiers or desperate marauders burst into your home. The brutal thud of their heavy boots reverberated across the old wooden floorboards, each step a jarring blow to your quiet sanctuary, echoing like a drumbeat of disruption. Their harsh shouts echoed through the small rooms, demanding sustenance, their voices harsh as grinding stones, a discordant clamor tearing at the very fabric of your hard-won peace. You stood there, in the center of your modest home, as unyielding as an ancient oak weathering a fierce storm, your gaze steady and unwavering, refusing to betray any fear, any hint of the precious lives hidden beneath your feet. You deployed your innate intelligence, your unwavering composure, and even a feigned innocence as delicate and fragile as a spider's web woven with the morning dew to shield everything hidden from their brutal scrutiny. A soldier's hand might casually brush against the market basket you still clutched, its woven fibers rough against his skin, a fleeting, almost imperceptible touch, a silent probe, then move on, his interest apparently dismissed by your calm demeanor. You maintained a gentle, serene smile, a tranquil mask that betrayed nothing, like a placid lake hiding unimaginable depths, as if nothing at all had disturbed the profound peace of your world, a peace as deep as the undisturbed earth beneath your home. Your inner strength was a hidden fortress, its walls built of love and resolve, protecting you from the assault of their aggression, a silent, impregnable shield. Despite your valiant efforts, your meticulous preparations, they often took a portion of your meager food supplies, their rough hands snatching away what you had worked so hard to preserve. They would carelessly toss your belongings, leaving behind a scattering of disruption that felt like a sharp, personal wound to the heart of your home. You watched, your heart a quiet observer, aching with each misplaced item, as the very order you had so carefully cultivated was subtly altered, rearranged by their uncaring hands. The vibrant colors of your hand-stitched quilt, now crumpled, seemed to cry out in protest. You resisted the urge to flinch, to outwardly react, knowing that every outward sign of distress was a potential crack in your carefully constructed facade. A feeling of profound helplessness might threaten to overwhelm you, a dark tide seeking to pull you under, but you pushed it back, like pushing against a mighty current. The memory of your children's innocent faces nestled safely below was a glowing ember in the darkness, fueling your resolve to endure. After the harsh clamor of their departure gradually receded, fading like a distant echo in a vast canyon, leaving behind only the profound silence, you felt a release of tension, a soft, almost imperceptible sigh escaping your lips. A faint, comforting wisp of smoke gently curled upwards from the dying embers of your hearth, its woody scent a familiar comfort, carrying with it the earthy aroma of quiet resilience, a silent promise of new beginnings, a phoenix rising from the ashes of disruption. You inhaled deeply, the fresh air filling your lungs, chasing away the metallic scent of fear, and understood with a profound certainty that settled deep within you, like a cornerstone laid for eternity, that every challenge, every hardship was merely the fertile ground for a more powerful rebirth, a gentle blossoming of strength and unwavering purpose. This was not surrender. This was a quiet act of profound acceptance, a silent preparation for rebuilding, for reclaiming what was truly yours. Once the immediate danger had receded, its dark shadow shrinking into the distance like a retreating storm cloud, you began the slow, methodical process of restoring order. Your hands, though still trembling slightly from the adrenaline, moved with a quiet, purposeful rhythm, clearing away the disarray, carefully putting each displaced item back in its rightful place. You smoothed the crumpled quilt, its familiar patterns a soothing sight, and rearranged the scattered pantry items, each act a tiny victory against chaos. Then the most profound comfort, a balm to your weary soul. You knelt and embraced your children, their small bodies a precious warmth against yours, a lifeline in a turbulent sea. Under the soft, caressing touch of the warm morning sun, which streamed gently through the now mended window panes, painting streaks of gold and white across the floor, you held them close, inhaling the sweet, innocent scent of their hair, a fragrance that spoke of pure, unblemished life, of hope blooming anew. Though your humble home still bore the subtle, lingering traces of the unexpected visit, a scuff on the floor, a faint impression of a boot, the clear, melodious sound of your children's laughter, bright and joyful as a cascade of tiny bells, swept away every lingering shadow from your heart, a magical symphony that restored peace to your very soul, calming the storm within. The small fire in your hearth, once merely an ember, now flickered with renewed life, its warm glow dancing playfully upon the walls like tiny sprites celebrating your resilience, and with it came the comforting, rich aroma of freshly baked bread, its yeasty perfume filling every corner of your home, a potent symbol of life's enduring continuity and a hope that would never extinguish. This simple act of baking, the familiar kneading of dough, was a grounding ritual, connecting you to generations of women who had found strength in the ordinary. People often whispered that the courage of a mother, when protecting her children, burned with a fierce intensity far stronger than the wildest gales or the most raging storms, a flame that could never be quenched. It was a boundless, inexhaustible reservoir of strength that defied all odds, a force as primal and enduring as the earth itself. This quiet, steadfast courage, rooted deeply in love, was the very essence of survival, a gentle beacon in the storm of revolution, a testament to the unseen battles fought and won within the walls of a home. You stood in the center of your humble garden, now bathed in a profound, quiet peace like a sacred grove after a storm, the gentle afternoon sunlight casting its soft golden rays upon your tired yet radiant face, illuminating the quiet triumph in your eyes. The birds had returned, their tentative chirps a soft, reassuring symphony replacing the earlier silence. You understood, with a deep, unwavering conviction that resonated through every fiber of your being, that while your home might endure countless trials and tribulations, your spirit, your indomitable will would never falter, standing tall as the oldest trees in the forest. This story of unwavering protection, of quiet resilience in the face of chaos, and of rebirth from the simplest of acts would continue. A silent saga woven into the very fabric of the land, passed down through the rustle of leaves and the whisper of winds, a timeless testament to the extraordinary power dwelling within a woman's heart.
In a small, comforting room, the subtle, clean scent of freshly spun fabric mingled with the delicate, herbaceous aroma of homemade herbal tea, a quiet sanctuary against the world's burgeoning anxieties. You sat amongst a circle of women, your kindred spirits, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of a nearby lamp, their hands moving with quiet purpose. The rhythmic click-clack of knitting needles, steady as the ticking of a grandfather clock, wove a peaceful symphony of quiet determination, a testament to their unwavering resolve. The British Crown had imposed new, unjust taxes, their weight pressing down like an unseen burden, and you felt a profound, unspoken unity blooming amongst you, a shared understanding that transcended mere words, connecting each heart like an invisible thread. This was more than just a gathering. It was a silent rebellion, a quiet uprising of domestic strength, a gentle tide turning against the flow of oppression. Each woman, with her nimble fingers and resolute spirit, was a quiet architect of change, meticulously weaving a new future with every loop and turn of yarn. Their collective will was a soft, unyielding force. A profound decision, born from collective wisdom and shared hardship, began to take root not just in your mind, but in the very core of your being and in the hearts of your neighbors. You all resolved to participate in the growing movement to boycott imported British goods. The rich, intoxicating scent of fine English tea, once a cherished indulgence, a gentle comfort on chilly afternoons, a whisper of luxury in your modest home, now became a bitter symbol of oppressive injustice. You decided, with a quiet resolve as firm as a newly hewn oak, its roots deep in the earth, that you would no longer allow its bitter scent to pass your lips, choosing instead to savor the warm, earthy comfort of fragrant herbal teas, each sip a quiet act of defiance, a personal declaration of independence, steeped in the quiet power of everyday resistance. This choice was not made lightly. It meant sacrifice, a tightening of the belt, but the taste of freedom was sweeter than any imported brew. One afternoon, as you walked through the bustling market, the air thick with the murmur of commerce, the faint, sweet aroma of soft English silk fabric drifted past your nostrils, a subtle, ethereal temptation. You recalled the gentle, luxurious feel of imported gowns you had once admired, their vibrant colors a stark contrast to your simple homespun. Then the clear, ringing call of a vendor reached your ears. "Fresh English tea just arrived!" And the familiar, comforting scent of your former favorite brew flooded your memory, a fleeting ghost of a pleasant past. For a fleeting moment, a soft pang of wistful longing, a gentle sense of deprivation rippled through your heart. But then your eyes found a young woman across the square, her dress made of sturdy, plain, homespun fabric, and a steadfast, quiet smile gracing her lips like a tiny beacon of resilience. You felt a powerful current of energy flow through you, a silent reminder of the larger purpose, the grand design you are all weaving together. You inhaled deeply, the rough, honest scent of your own homespun fabric clinging to your hands suddenly seemed sweeter,
more fragrant than any imported cloth, a true aroma of freedom and profound self-respect. This quiet triumph, this small internal battle won, became a vital thread strengthening your resolve. You and the other Daughters of Liberty began to organize what became known as spinning bees, transforming ordinary gatherings into sacred convocations of defiance, weaving circles of patriotism and shared purpose. Women from all walks of life, from the bustling port towns with their salty air to the quiet rolling countryside with its endless fields, would converge, bringing their spinning wheels, their nimble fingers, and their indomitable spirits. The rhythmic, soothing whir of the spinning wheels, a continuous, gentle hum, and the soft, determined click-clack of the shuttles on looms wove a quiet yet unwavering anthem of resistance, a gentle symphony of self-reliance that echoed not in grand halls but in humble homes. As you and your friends tirelessly worked, your hands moving with a practiced grace, a seamless dance of purpose, you transformed raw wool into yarn, spun yarn into sturdy fabric, crafted fragrant beeswax candles that cast a soft, reassuring glow, and created other necessities previously reliant on British imports. The soft, nascent feel of the newly spun thread, warm from your hands, glided across your fingertips, a delicate caress that seemed to smooth away every worry, every lingering trace of anxiety from your mind, a tangible promise of self-sufficiency. These bees were not just places of production. They were vibrant hubs of whispered information, quiet encouragement, and the weaving of strong, enduring friendships. Here, amidst the gentle hum of activity, you shared news from distant towns, exchanged recipes for making do with less, and offered solace to one another. Each shared word a gentle balm to the soul, healing unseen wounds. The camaraderie was palpable, a warm blanket of shared purpose, strengthening your resolve with every passing hour. A silent bond forged in the heat of a quiet revolution.
You keenly perceived the immense, unspoken power of unity amongst these quiet, resolute women, a force as subtle yet profound as the changing tides. From the diligent homemakers, whose days were filled with countless domestic duties, their hands forever busy, to the shrewd shopkeepers, their minds sharp with business acumen, all were united by a single, unwavering will, a shared vision of liberty that burned brightly in their hearts. The hushed whispers of your resilience, the quiet murmurings of the Daughters of Liberty's resourcefulness and quiet defiance spread like a gentle, invigorating breeze throughout the distant colonies, carrying hope on its wings, becoming a subtle yet profound source of inspiration for countless others, a ripple effect across the land. These stories, told in hushed tones over shared hearths, reinforced the idea that profound change could indeed begin with the quiet acts of ordinary individuals. You could feel the unseen threads connecting you to thousands of other women across the colonies, each thread a silent vow, a part of the grand tapestry of freedom being meticulously woven by their resilient hands. The very scent of freshly woven fabric, warm and earthy, didn't just linger in your small room. It seemed to drift outwards, reaching every quiet corner of the burgeoning nation, carrying a message of self-reliance and profound unity. Each meticulously spun thread, each stitch in a new garment, was a small victory. Every single loaf of bread baked with self-ground flour, its yeasty aroma a comforting embrace that filled your home with the promise of sustenance. Every simple linen shirt sewn from homespun fabric, its rough texture a testament to honest labor and defiant spirit, was a powerful unspoken declaration of defiance. We shall stand on our own. We have no need for your oppressive dependence. You felt the profound warmth of pride spreading gently through your heart, like the first golden rays of morning sun banishing the night's chill, bringing warmth and clarity. This wasn't a boast, but a quiet, deeply felt conviction. These acts, seemingly small in isolation, were building blocks of a new identity, silent assertions of autonomy and self-sufficiency. In those quiet spinning bees, beyond the whir of the wheels, you witnessed moments of pure human connection. You saw an older woman, her hands trembling slightly with age and the strain of hard work, struggling to guide a fine strand of wool onto her spindle. You gently reached out, your hand soft yet firm, guiding her fingers, feeling the delicate wool pass smoothly through both your hands. A quiet, grateful smile bloomed on her wrinkled face, a silent acknowledgement more eloquent than any words, and you felt a profound connection, reaching across generations, deeper than mere age or difference. You shared your unique herbal tea recipes, the sweet, calming aroma wafting through the air, bringing a sense of relaxation to everyone. In the hushed whispers of shared stories, you knew that these threads were not merely weaving fabric, they were weaving kinship, forging bonds stronger than any material cloth, a human tapestry of support and shared dreams. Though these were not the thunderous sounds of muskets or the booming roar of cannons, these quiet acts of boycotting, these simple choices made in countless homes, had a profound and undeniable impact, gradually forcing the distant authorities to listen, to feel the silent pressure of a united people. You understood with profound clarity that what you were doing, these seemingly domestic tasks, were not merely chores confined to your home. They were an integral, indispensable part of a much larger, grander construction, the very foundation of a nascent nation's freedom, built thread by quiet thread. The gentle hum of the spinning wheel became the rhythmic pulse of revolution, each stitch in the fabric a quiet step towards a new world, a world where your children could breathe freely. You envisioned the faces of children growing up in a truly free land, their laughter echoing unimpeded, a place where they would no longer be burdened by the distant rules of a distant power. You pictured your own golden fields of wheat swaying gently in the summer breeze, harvested to feed your own family without dependence on anyone. Every needle poke, every turn of the spinning wheel was a soft, determined note in the growing symphony of self-governance, a sturdy brick laid in the unshakable foundation for future generations. The pride that swelled within you was not a fleeting emotion, but a steady, enduring warmth, a silent affirmation of your inherent right to live freely on your own land, a flame that would not be extinguished. You stood at the dusty edge of a well-worn road, the air thick with the faint, earthy scent of disturbed soil and the wild, untamed fragrance of distant fields, a perfume of wanderlust and uncertainty. Before you, a living river of humanity flowed. George Washington's Continental Army, their tired steps echoing a silent cadence, moved steadily forward in the soft, diffused sunlight. You watched, your heart a quiet drum beating in rhythm with their marching feet, a symphony of dedication and unwavering purpose. You had made a profound decision, a choice as clear and bright as the morning star, pulling you from the comforting stillness of your home. You would follow them, not to bear arms in battle, but to care for your own,
to tend to the weary soldiers, and to carry with you the irreplaceable warmth of family, a precious ember in the cold vastness of war. This was your path, a silent journey woven into the grand tapestry of revolution, a quiet testament to love's enduring power. Life within the mobile military camp was a ceaseless ballet of endurance, a challenging dance on the edges of the wild, a relentless test of spirit. You often found yourself sleeping in hastily erected, flimsy tents, their thin canvas a fragile barrier against the vastness of the night, whispering secrets with the wind, feeling the uneven, unyielding contours of the earth pressing against your back, a constant reminder of the journey's hardships and the ground beneath your dreams. More often than not, you faced the stark reality of scarcity, a constant shadow lurking at the periphery of your days, its cold breath a familiar companion. Yet through it all, you possessed an unshakable optimism, a quiet inner light that refused to dim, like a hidden lantern in a deep cave. Each dawn was a fresh canvas for resourcefulness, and you learned to adapt, to find comfort in the simplest moments, to transform mere existence into a purposeful, meaningful life. Your spirit, resilient as a seasoned oak, its branches weathered but unbroken, never bowed to the biting winds of adversity, standing firm against the storm. Your role was a vital yet often unsung contribution. You diligently washed the soldiers' clothes, their rough wool and linen heavy with the grime of travel and the pervasive scent of gunpowder, a harsh reminder of their daily trials. Often this was done in the clear, cool embrace of bubbling streams, the water a soothing balm to your weary, calloused hands. Yet those hands remained remarkably soft and gentle as they worked, like petals caressing rough stone. You prepared meager meals, humble sustenance crafted from limited ingredients, yet infused with boundless care and quiet fortitude, each bite a silent blessing, ensuring that each morsel was nourishing. The subtle, clean scent of homemade lye soap, a comforting aroma of cleanliness and simple purity, became the familiar perfume of these days, a gentle promise of well-being in the unsettled life of the camp, a whispered lullaby of domesticity. You were a quiet sentinel, tirelessly working to prevent the erosion of the army's spirit, a constant presence of calm amidst the storm, a vital anchor in a sea of uncertainty, holding fast against the tides of despair. One sweltering afternoon, as the sun beat down with relentless ferocity, like a blacksmith's hammer on an anvil, you discovered the small stream you usually used for washing had dwindled to nothing, leaving only parched, hot pebbles that seemed to shimmer with heat. The acrid scent of dry earth mingled with the sour smell of stale sweat from the mounds of soldiers' shirts piled high, and a brief wave of quiet anxiety washed over you, cold as a sudden shadow. But then instinct, sharp and clear as a mountain spring, guided you. You remembered whispers of an old abandoned well, carefully covered and hidden away. With a sturdy wooden bucket and a length of rough rope, you quietly sought it out, your footsteps soft as falling leaves. The coarse rope chafed your hands as you slowly lowered the bucket, listening intently for the hollow, damp echo from the unseen depths below. When you finally pulled up a bucketful of cool, life-giving water, the earthy scent of wet soil and stone rising on the steam, a fragrance of quiet triumph, a profound sense of small triumph bloomed within you, warm as a summer's day. That was how you sustained life, one precious drop at a time, one small act of ingenuity after another. Each clean shirt, each sip of pure water was a testament to your unwavering will.
When you laundered the soldiers' shirts, the cold stream water, brisk and invigorating, massaged your tired, calloused hands, yet the sensation of the heavy, wet fabric was still surprisingly soft, like a worn confession. You scrubbed diligently, feeling the rough texture of the fibers beneath your fingertips, and then, as you spread them out to dry under the open sky, the warm, embracing heat of the sun seemed to permeate every thread, pulling out the dampness and lingering battle scents. You imagined the quiet comfort the soldiers would feel when they donned a clean, dry shirt, its subtle, homemade soap fragrance, a gentle breath of kindness and careful attention amidst the harsh realities of the battlefield. Every stitch you meticulously made to repair a missing button, every patch you carefully applied to a torn trouser, was more than mere mending. It was a silent resurrection, a quiet act of restoring dignity, a gentle reminder that they were seen, they were cared for, they were still men, not just soldiers. Amidst the constant hardship and the weary rhythm of camp life, you discovered a profound and enduring friendship, a network of shared purpose and quiet camaraderie with the other women, a comforting embrace woven from shared laughter and whispered anxieties, a quilt of human connection. Around the flickering warmth of the campfire, its gentle crackle a soothing lullaby, singing soft songs of resilience, stories were exchanged. When the women whispered of the indomitable courage of Molly Pitcher, her name now legendary, her spirit as bright as the morning sun, who fearlessly hauled water to the thirsty cannons amidst the roar of battle, you didn't just hear a tale. You closed your eyes and you vividly imagined Molly's unwavering gaze amidst the smoke, feeling the phantom weight of the water bucket on her own shoulders. Or when Margaret Corbin was mentioned, who took up her fallen husband's cannon, you felt the phantom strength of her hands gripping the cold metal of the artillery piece. These stories were not mere legends. They were quiet sparks igniting a deep internal fire within you, like embers fanned by a gentle breeze, reminding you of the immense, untapped power residing in every woman, of a quiet resilience that needed no sword or shield to triumph. You felt an invisible, ancient connection, a vital part of this grand unfolding legacy, and your heart swelled with a quiet, profound pride, a simmering warmth that fueled your weary steps and lightened your load. You understood, with a quiet certainty that settled in your bones like ancient wisdom, that even without directly wielding a weapon, your contributions were immeasurably important, as vital as the very breath they took. Your unwavering presence, your simple acts of nurturing, offered the precious warmth of home to soldiers far from their own hearths, a gentle comfort that soothed their weary spirits, like a cool, refreshing breeze on a sweltering summer's day. People whispered that only the wind sweeping through the sprawling army encampments truly knew the vast extent of the care and profound kindness that women had quietly spread, a benevolent current flowing unseen through the heart of the war. Your touch, your smile, a simple shared meal, these were the quiet miracles that sustained hope in the darkest hours, tiny stars against the vast night sky of conflict. You were a silent architect of morale, building resilience one kind gesture at a time, a living bridge between despair and a quiet hope. No matter where the army's winding path led them, amidst the constant movement and the shifting landscapes, the women of the camp, a resilient tapestry of diverse lives woven together by shared purpose, always managed to forge a tight-knit community of their own, a portable haven of mutual support and understanding, a small, vibrant village on the move. They sustained each other with the light laughter of shared moments, bright as scattered jewels, the comforting balm of whispered stories, soft as a mother's lullaby, and the simple yet profound warmth of countless compassionate gestures, a shared glance of understanding, a quiet offer of help, a communal moment of prayer. These were the vital threads that wove their extraordinary bonds, creating a strength far greater than the sum of its parts. This mobile sisterhood, a quiet force of nature, as enduring as the very land they walked upon, ensured that no woman was ever truly alone in the vast, often intimidating landscape of war. One crisp morning, the subtle, fresh scent of dew still clinging to the tips of the tall grasses, a verdant perfume of new beginnings, you stood on your porch, gazing out at the sprawling fields that stretched endlessly before you, like a vast green sea. Your husband had answered the call of duty, marching off to join the Continental Army, and now the immense weight of the entire farm, a formidable burden, settled squarely upon your shoulders, as heavy as the earth itself. You felt the profound gravity of this responsibility, a silent, weighty mantle, but also the exhilarating freedom that blossomed from making your own decisions, a thrilling sense of becoming a new architect of your own destiny. This was not just land, it was a living canvas waiting for the brushstrokes of your will, and you were ready to paint, your spirit as vast and open as the sky above, mirroring the boundless horizon. The challenge of this newfound independence, of this unexpected autonomy, was a fertile ground for growth, cultivating adaptability in your very soul. You had to learn the myriad tasks that kept a farm alive, the rhythmic, arduous process of plowing the stubborn earth, feeling the powerful pull of the plow, a demanding partner, almost a living entity in your hands, the delicate art of sowing seeds, each tiny kernel a whispered prayer for abundance, a promise to the fertile soil. The back-breaking work of harvesting crops, and the patient care of your beloved livestock. The rich, earthy scent of damp soil and the fresh green fragrance of new grass clung to your clothes each morning, a natural perfume of honest labor, a fragrant reminder of the life teeming around you as you stepped out into the waking fields. You learned to guide the heavy, powerful plow, its wooden handles rough against your palms, yet a surprising ally, and to repair a fallen fence yourself, each mended plank a small triumph, a testament to your growing strength. These tasks, once daunting, became a series of intriguing puzzles to solve, delightful challenges that sharpened your mind and toughened your spirit, like a dull blade honed to a keen edge. One long summer, as the sun's harsh gaze lingered longer than usual, like a relentless overseer, you noticed your usually vibrant corn rows, once a verdant promise, beginning to wilt, their leaves turning a sickly yellow, a silent, desperate warning. The parched scent of dry earth rose, thick and suffocating, and your heart clenched with a quiet dread, a cold knot in your stomach. This was the primary source of food for your family and crucial for market. Instead of succumbing to despair, you remembered your grandmother's whispered wisdom about finding underground water by observing the plants, a faint echo from a gentler time.
You spent late afternoons when the air softened and cooled, like a sigh of relief, meticulously walking your fields, searching for the smallest signs of lingering moisture, a tiny hint of life. Finally, you discovered a small, hidden puddle, a secret pool from a recent fleeting rain, nestled beneath the ancient, gnarled roots of an old oak tree, like a whispered promise. With a bucket, the cool water a soothing balm to your hands, you painstakingly watered each wilting stalk. Though it saved only a fraction of the crop, the act itself was a quiet victory, a triumph of will over circumstance. You knew then that your sheer persistence and keen observational wisdom had guided you through this challenge, like a small stream finding its way through unyielding rock. You were not merely a farmer, you were a cunning businesswoman, a quiet strategist of survival, with eyes that saw beyond the immediate horizon. You meticulously managed the ledgers, each entry a tiny battle fought on paper, a careful counting of gains and losses, calculating every meager penny earned, carefully weighing the cost of a precious sack of salt against a vital spool of thread. When you brought your produce to the market, amidst the cacophony of buyers and sellers, their voices a vibrant symphony of commerce, you didn't just sell what you had. You listened intently to conversations, absorbing the market's pulse like a sensitive instrument. One time, you noticed the price of salt skyrocketing, rising like a sudden tide, while wool prices had dropped. Instead of selling all your corn to buy salt, you made a decisive choice. You kept back a portion of your corn and used your meager earnings to buy more raw wool, feeling the soft, coarse texture of the wool in your hands, a silent promise of future warmth. You knew you could spin it into yarn and weave it into fabric, which would then fetch a higher price. It was a small decision, a quiet ripple in the vast ocean of commerce, but it provided your family with enough salt for months and generated additional income. People often whispered that women like you possessed a rare foresight, eyes that saw not just the present, but the fertile ground of the future, a wisdom as deep as the earth itself.
Sometimes the specter of scarcity loomed large, a hungry shadow threatening your hearth. Or your precious livestock would fall ill, their labored breaths a distressing symphony of suffering. In these moments of profound difficulty, you had to find ingenious ways to cope, your mind a diligent weaver of solutions, creating something from nothing. You sought out your more experienced neighbors, listening intently to their weathered wisdom, their advice a guiding light in the dark, a quiet compass in uncertain times. You viewed each setback not as a defeat, but as a precious opportunity for profound personal growth, a chance to refine your skills and deepen your understanding. You had witnessed other women, their faces etched with similar struggles, bravely navigate these same turbulent waters alongside you, their shared determination a silent, comforting hand in yours, a bond forged in hardship. And the hushed whispers about your own unwavering resilience and quiet resourcefulness had begun to spread gently throughout the surrounding countryside, like a beloved folk tale, carrying inspiration on its breath, a legend in the making. In those quiet evenings, when the cricket's ceaseless chirping was the only music, a soft lullaby of the night, you would sit by the hearth. The warm glow of the fire danced playfully on the rough-hewn walls, casting shifting shadows like silent memories. Your gaze would often settle on the old wooden chair where your husband always sat, its familiar scent of worn wood and pipe tobacco still lingering, a ghostly comfort. You would gently touch its smooth, worn armrest, feeling the grain of the wood beneath your fingertips, a silent connection. A tender wave of longing would rise within you,
soft as a morning mist, but it was not a weakness. It was a simmering fire that fueled your strength, a powerful reminder of the profound reason you were doing all of this: to build a future, a home, a nation that he was fighting for. You knew every seed you planted, every harvest you gathered was a silent promise sent across the miles to him, an invisible bridge connecting the front lines to the quiet strength of the home front, a testament to enduring love.
One morning, as you strained to pull the heavy plow through the stubborn earth, sweat beading on your forehead, the rhythmic creak of the wood, and the dull thud of the soil turning over, filling the air, a tall shadow fell across your path. It was your elderly neighbor, his broad shoulders stooped with age, but his smile kind and gentle as a summer breeze. He said little, simply reaching out and gently taking the plow handles from your tired hands, the warmth of his calloused, experienced grip, a sudden, unexpected comfort. The sound of the plow cutting through the earth became steadier, stronger, a harmonious symphony of shared labor, a testament to the power of a helping hand. Sometimes passing American soldiers, their uniforms dusty but their eyes holding a flicker of recognition and respect, would offer to help, quietly mending a fallen fence, the gentle tap-tap-tap of their hammers, a reassuring rhythm in the air. These moments, though small, were like warm rays of sunshine breaking through a winter's day, illuminating your spirit and reminding you that you were never truly alone, that human kindness was the strongest thread binding your community. With each bountiful harvest, each row of corn standing tall and proud, each time you successfully completed a particularly arduous task, repairing a stubborn fence that threatened to give way, or bringing a sick calf back to health, you felt a deep, quiet surge of pride swelling within your chest, warm as a summer's day, bright as a newly minted coin. You knew with a profound certainty that resonated in your very bones that your tireless efforts were contributing significantly to the well-being of your family, to the sustenance of the army, and to the very foundation of a nascent nation. You were a silent sower of seeds for a brighter, more independent future, each planted kernel a promise of liberty and self-determination. The sweet scent of ripe grain, the feel of rich earth beneath your worn boots were triumphs woven into the very fabric of your days, threads of resilience in the tapestry of your life. One chilly evening, the wind whispered gently through the skeletal branches of the trees, a faint, melancholic sigh that carried the first true bite of winter, making your very bones shiver with its cold embrace. You received word, a quiet message passed from hand to hand, detailing the army's desperate need for supplies as the bitter season approached. The raw, bone-aching cold had begun its relentless advance, settling deep in the very marrow of the land, a stark reminder of the looming hardships that awaited brave soldiers. You knew, with a certainty as cold and clear as frozen crystal, that the time had come to unleash your profound ingenuity and the quiet strength of your nimble hands, a force as steady as the turning of the earth. This was not a call to arms, but a silent summons to the loom, to the needle, to the warmth of collective purpose, a quiet battle fought with thread and fabric, waged in the heart of every home. You swiftly rallied the other women of the village, their faces etched with the familiar concerns of scarcity and separation, but their eyes burning with a shared resolve.
Together, you transformed your own modest home, and at times the local church, into a bustling, makeshift production hub, a hive of quiet industry, humming with a gentle, determined energy. The clean, earthy scent of raw wool and the crisp aroma of new cotton fabric filled the air, mingling with the faint, warm smell of flickering oil lamps each evening, creating a cozy, almost sacred workspace, a beacon of industriousness against the encroaching darkness, like stars against the night sky. The rhythmic click-clack of the spinning wheels, a steady, comforting pulse, and the soft, insistent thud of the looms became the very heartbeat of a united community, alive with purpose and quiet hope, a symphony of dedicated labor, weaving a new destiny. Each woman, with her unique skills and unwavering spirit, was a vital cog in this quiet machine of survival, working tirelessly, side by side, their collective efforts weaving not just fabric, but a stronger future, a tapestry of freedom. Late into one bitterly cold night, the wind howling through the window cracks like a hungry wolf, you were diligently working at your loom, the shuttle's dry clatter echoing in the hushed room, when the last thread snapped with a sharp, disheartening pop, leaving a small, gaping hole in the half-finished blanket. The familiar scent of new wool and lamp oil still lingered in the cold air, but a wave of disappointment, cold as a winter draft, washed over you. All the thread was gone. Where could you possibly find more in the dead of night, amidst such scarcity? The warm light from the hearth danced playfully on the wall, and your gaze fell upon your old woolen shawl, a cherished keepsake, now threadbare and worn in many places, its familiar scent of wood smoke and quiet comfort still clinging to it. It was a precious memory, but you knew, with a sudden, stark clarity, that its familiar, faded fabric could now offer crucial warmth to a freezing soldier. With a silent, resolute determination, as strong as the oak tree outside your window, you began to carefully unravel the threads from your old shawl, meticulously respinning each one. The recycled wool felt rough and coarse against your fingers, a stark reminder of its past life, but each turn of the spindle was a promise, a small, quiet sacrifice for a greater purpose, a whisper of hope woven into every strand. Resources were often scarce, their absence a constant shadow in your minds, like an empty cupboard in a hungry house. Yet you and the other women always found a way, your minds nimble and sharp as the finest needles, piercing through despair. You embraced creativity, using every possible material at your disposal, from the coarse, shorn wool of your own sheep, its earthy scent of familiar comfort, to the smallest scraps of fabric, carefully pieced and patched, like memories, into a vibrant quilt. You learned the ancient art of making candles from animal fat, their warm, musky scent a promise of light in the long, dark nights, a tiny sun in the gloom. And soap from ash and rendered fat, its mild, cleansing aroma, a fragrance of quiet hygiene, a scent of survival. The smooth, almost silken feeling of melting candle wax as it flowed through your fingers, a warm, liquid caress, was a subtle yet profound symbol of your diligent labor and remarkable ingenuity, a testament to turning scarcity into sustenance, a quiet magic. Every flicker of candlelight, every lather of homemade soap was a quiet victory against the odds, a silent affirmation of self-reliance, a small banner of defiance.
Every single coat sewn, every blanket meticulously woven, every pair of mittens knitted, was imbued with a profound sense of hope and a whispered prayer for the soldiers, a silent blessing carried on the threads, like secret messages in a bottle. You believed, with an unwavering faith as deep as a well, that your creations were not merely keeping them warm, they were sustaining their fighting spirit, wrapping them in an invisible shield of care and love, a mother's embrace. Each careful stitch of the needle was a quiet wish for their safety, a silent prayer for their return, carrying a message of enduring affection and an unshakable belief in a brighter future. You imagined the cold, tired bodies of the soldiers, now finding comfort in the warmth of your stitches, their weary spirits lifted by the knowledge that they were remembered, that they were loved. These were not just items, they were tangible expressions of a nation's love, woven into the very fabric of their survival, threads of patriotism. When the precious goods were finally completed, carefully folded and bundled, you or other trusted women would arrange for their silent transport to the various army camps, often under the guise of trading farm produce at local markets. The steady clatter of the wagon wheels on the frozen road was the only sound for miles, punctuated by the occasional jingle of harness bells. The earthy scent of damp soil and fresh vegetables, carefully placed on top, struggled to mask the subtle, clean aroma of new wool and laundered fabric beneath. As you approached a British checkpoint, the sudden sharp whinny of a horse and the cold glint of a bayonet caught your eye, sending a swift cold tremor through your heart, like ice water in your veins. A soldier, his face grim and hardened by war, strode towards your wagon, his eyes, sharp as razor blades, sweeping over your carefully arranged goods. His cold breath ghosted across your face as he gruffly demanded to know your business. You, with the most gentle smile you could muster, soft as a summer cloud, and a voice as steady and calm as a quiet river, explained that you were merely transporting farm produce to the market. You offered him a fresh apple, its crisp, sweet scent filling the chilly air with a momentary burst of warmth, and he took it, his gaze momentarily softening. Your unwavering composure had disarmed him, a quiet magic working its charm, and he waved your wagon through. The rhythmic turning of the wheels resumed on the snow-dusted path, carrying its precious cargo of freedom's threads, and you felt a profound, quiet surge of relief, a silent victory echoing in your heart, as clear as a bell. Stories of your tireless diligence and the boundless dedication of you and the other women began to spread like the gentle rustle of leaves in an autumn wind, carried by whispers and grateful sighs. These tales, passed from village to village, encouraged countless others to join the vital logistical efforts, sparking a warm, pervasive movement of quiet, collective giving, a fire spreading from hearth to hearth. People often whispered that the humble gifts from the home front had infused the soldiers with extraordinary strength, like a sudden, invigorating breath of spring air after a long, harsh winter, a life-giving force that could turn the tide. Each carefully crafted item, each perilous journey to deliver it, was a testament to the unseen battles fought and won far from the bloody fields, a silent monument to courage. This was the quiet heart of the revolution, beating steadily, relentlessly, a pulse of hope in the darkness. One late afternoon, as you were patiently instructing a new recruit, a young woman whose hands were still clumsy with the spinning wheel, she confided in you. "I heard about the warm coat you and the others made, the one with the tiny oak leaf in the pocket. The soldier who received it said it warmed his spirit more than his body, like a precious talisman from home. After hearing that, I knew I had to join." The clean scent of new wool and a fresh wave of hope filled the small room, a fragrance of unity. You looked into her earnest eyes and saw the burning spark of a newfound spirit, a flame catching fire, and knew that these quiet whispers of kindness, these stories of silent courage, were spreading like an unquenchable fire, illuminating the hearts of ordinary people one by one, transforming small contributions into an unstoppable force, a gentle tide of change.
One serene evening, the soft amber glow of an oil lamp, a tiny sun in the gathering dusk, flickered gently on the worn wooden table, casting dancing shadows that seemed to tell stories of their own. You sat close, your hand a comforting anchor on your child's small back, reading aloud a familiar tale of ancient heroes, their deeds ringing with courage and triumph. But as your voice filled the quiet room, you felt a subtle, lingering incompleteness, a quiet yearning for something deeper, something more profound that the story lacked, like a melody missing its final, crucial note. This was not merely about battles won or flags raised. It was about the very essence of liberty, the bedrock values that the emerging nation was painstakingly building. Your child's innocent eyes, wide with admiration, gazed up at you, trusting and pure as untouched snow, mirroring the immense sacred responsibility that settled gently upon your spirit. You understood then, with a profound clarity, that the destiny of this revolution, the future of a free people, pulsed not just in the soldiers' veins, but in the tender hearts nestled in your very home, waiting to be nurtured, waiting to bloom. During the tumultuous years of conflict, the familiar rhythm of daily life had been shattered, and most formal schools had shuttered their doors, their silent halls now echoing with absence. In this quiet void, you became the sole beacon of knowledge, the dedicated teacher for your own children, and often for the eager, curious youngsters of your neighbors, their faces bright with anticipation. You taught them the fundamental magic of reading, helping them trace letters on rudimentary clay tablets, their fingers clumsy but determined. You guided their hands as they learned to write with simple sticks in the dirt, each scratch a tiny step towards enlightenment, and introduced them to the logic of numbers, counting with pebbles and fallen leaves. The subtle, earthy scent of chalk dust on the well-used wooden blackboard, a clean, sharp aroma, became the very fragrance of new knowledge, a refreshing perfume of discovery and intellectual awakening, filling the humble space with the promise of endless possibilities, a quiet testament to the enduring power of learning. One afternoon, as you were carefully explaining the fundamental rights of every free person, the cheerful chirping of birds outside the window abruptly ceased, leaving a sudden, unsettling silence. Your small son, his eyes as clear and deep as a mountain lake, suddenly piped up with a question that sliced through the peaceful air, sharp as a newly honed blade. "Mamma, why did the redcoats take all of Farmer John's corn? That wasn't fair, was it?" It was a simple question, yet it struck at the heart of your own unspoken anxieties, a quiet echo of injustice that reverberated in the room. You felt a subtle tension tighten in the air, light as a spider's silk. Instead of evading, you gently placed your hand on his shoulder, the warmth from your palm flowing into him like a soothing current. You began to tell him a parable, a gentle story about a young tree that desperately needed the sun to grow tall and strong, and the dark shadows that constantly tried to cover its light. You explained that sometimes, to find the light, we must learn to push back against those very shadows, a quiet battle fought with courage and conviction. Your voice was a soft whisper, but it carried an unwavering conviction, firm as the roots of an ancient tree, and you watched as understanding dawned in his eyes, a tiny spark of insight igniting, bright as a distant star. You knew in that moment that the tender seed of justice had begun to sprout within him, a promise for the future. More profound than the mere recitation of facts and figures, you sought to transmit the core, foundational values of this burgeoning revolution. You instilled in their young minds the concepts of equality, a boundless field where every flower could reach for the sun; justice, a steady flame guiding all actions; courage, a quiet roar deep within the heart; and an unwavering faith in a brighter future, a shimmering mirage that promised to become real. You told your children captivating tales of the ordinary people's extraordinary bravery, of their collective efforts to secure independence, weaving these truths into narratives as enchanting and vivid as the cherished fairy tales of a better world, stories that would echo in their dreams. Your voice a soft, reassuring whisper, like the gentle rustle of leaves in a summer breeze, hummed quiet lullabies of a new country, a land where every individual would be treated with fairness and respect, where the inherent right to freedom would flourish, as endless and flowing as a small, pristine stream finding its path over ancient stones.
As you taught the children to count dried corn kernels, their light rattle in your cupped hands a quiet rhythm, you didn't merely teach them arithmetic. Each one of these kernels, you explained, your voice gentle as the wind, when planted in the rich earth, will grow into a new corn plant, yielding many more kernels. Freedom is like that. Every small act we do today, every thought we have about fairness, is a seed. When we plant them together, when we nurture them with kindness and courage, they will grow into a vast, boundless field of liberty. You felt the children's rapt attention, their eyes shining with new comprehension, bright as polished stones. The earthy scent of dry soil and corn kernels became the very aroma of the lesson, a fragrant promise of the future, a perfume of possibility. In a world swirling with conflicting narratives, whispers of doubt, and the harsh realities of war, you became a steadfast guide, helping your children discern right from wrong, their young minds navigating a complex maze of information. You patiently encouraged them to develop their own independent thought, fostering a critical spirit that would question and explore, like a curious robin seeking new seeds. The gentle cadence in your voice, soft as a mother's embrace, was a constant source of reassurance, calming their anxieties and helping them understand, with a quiet clarity, that knowledge was not merely a collection of facts, but a formidable power, a shield against ignorance and a sword for truth. You taught them that while physical battles raged, the war of ideas was equally vital, and their clear, thoughtful minds were their most potent weapons. One afternoon, as you worked in the garden, the rich, fresh scent of newly turned earth rising around you, you saw your young daughter playing with the neighbor's children. They weren't just chasing each other. They had constructed a makeshift fort from fallen branches. Your daughter, her small face a mask of fierce determination, was mediating a heated argument between two boys over the division of their imaginary rations. "We have to be fair," she declared, her voice clear and bright like a tiny bell. "Mama says freedom means being fair to everyone." You smiled, a warm wave of joy spreading through your heart, soft as the morning light. You knew, with a profound certainty, that the seeds you so diligently sown had truly begun to sprout, not just in their minds, but in their very actions. The children's joyful laughter echoed in the crisp air, a harmonious symphony of the future, a living promise of a new generation. You knew,
with a deep, quiet certainty that settled in your bones like ancient wisdom, that the delicate seeds of freedom were indeed blossoming within their innocent souls, sending out fragile but determined roots. These nurtured young minds, full of curiosity and nascent understanding, would eventually grow to become the conscious, responsible citizens of the future republic. People often whispered that a profound secret, buried deep beneath the shifting sands of time, a truth often overlooked in the grand chronicles of war, was the undeniable reality that it was the mothers, with their boundless love and unwavering patience, who had painstakingly laid the most solid foundation for the enduring democratic spirit of America, a legacy stronger than any stone edifice. Their lessons, delivered not from pulpits or grand halls, but in the quiet warmth of home, would reverberate through generations, shaping the very character of the nation. Every time you witnessed your child's eyes light up with understanding after grasping a new concept, a tiny spark of comprehension igniting their spirit, or when they demonstrated a flash of courage in some small everyday action, like a fledgling bird taking its first flight, you felt a tremendous surge of hope, boundless and radiant as the first blush of dawn, illuminating the very garden of your soul. These were not just fleeting moments, they were tangible affirmations of your quiet, profound work, proof that the seeds you planted were indeed taking root, preparing for their vibrant bloom. You saw the future not as an abstract concept, but as a living, breathing entity, reflected in the bright, questioning eyes of the children you taught. In those quiet evenings, when you and your child sat together by the window, gazing out at the vast star-dusted night sky, a velvet curtain adorned with diamonds, you didn't just see distant stars. You saw those stars shimmering like countless seeds of freedom being sown into the fertile ground of your child's soul. You gently stroked the cover of the old, worn book that you always used to teach, its aged paper carrying the faint comforting scent of wisdom and time, a familiar fragrance of knowledge. This book, more than just paper and ink, was a silent lighthouse, guiding the way for future generations, its pages filled with the promise of brighter days. People often whispered that a profound secret, buried deep beneath the shifting sands of time, was the truth that mothers had laid the unshakable foundation for America's democratic spirit, not with thunderous speeches, but with quiet lessons under the soft glow of oil lamps, with whispered words of justice and liberty sown into tender young hearts. And you knew, with a deep, abiding certainty, that this very book, along with your unwavering lessons, would be the most invaluable legacy you could pass on, a never-ending flame passed from one generation to the next, illuminating the path for a truly free nation, a torch of enlightenment.
After years of relentless, all-consuming war, a profound stillness descended, cloaking the land in a fragile, precious peace. The joyous symphony of birdsong outside your window, a vibrant cascade of melody, seemed to herald not just a new day, but a thrilling new beginning for the nascent nation, a fresh canvas awaiting its masterpiece. Yet, even amidst this newfound tranquility, a quiet, persistent truth began to bloom in your heart, an understanding as clear and sharp as a polished crystal. Despite the hard-won independence, the voices of women, the very architects of the home front, were still largely unheard, unheeded in the critical decision-making halls of this new republic. You felt a subtle, almost imperceptible urging, a gentle whisper of purpose deep within your soul, compelling you to act, to contribute to the grand unfolding tapestry of justice. The crisp, clean scent of new paper, mingled with the faint metallic tang of dry ink, filled your senses, stirring within you grand, sweeping ideas for a more equitable future, a future where every voice, every heart, held its rightful place. You, along with a select few other women of remarkable intellect and unwavering spirit, began to forge a new kind of weapon, the pen. You embarked on a quiet, determined campaign, drafting thoughtful letters and insightful essays, some published anonymously to protect reputations, others bearing your names with a quiet courage. These eloquent missives were dispatched to the burgeoning nation's lawmakers and influential figures, their words carrying the weight of unaddressed injustices, yet delivered with a grace that could soften even the hardest stone. The warm, intimate scent of ink and aged paper often filled your senses as you sat late into the night beside the flickering glow of a single candle, its small flame a tiny beacon in the vast darkness, illuminating your resolute purpose. Each carefully crafted stroke of your quill, each precisely chosen word, was a firm yet gentle voice, speaking volumes about the inherent rights and the vital role of women in this grand unfolding republic, a symphony of quiet conviction. You immersed yourself in the burgeoning network of small, determined women's groups, their shared purpose a silent, unbreakable bond, woven with threads of hope and common cause. Together you meticulously drafted petitions, their words formal and resolute, demanding fundamental rights that had long been denied. You called for universal access to education, a light to banish the shadows of ignorance, the right for women to independently own and control their own property, a shield against economic vulnerability, and even the radical notion of suffrage, the fundamental right to cast a ballot and shape the nation's future. You vividly recalled the warm, reassuring sensation of your palm tightly grasping the rough, familiar wooden barrel of the quill, each deliberate stroke a silent, powerful declaration of equality, etched not just on paper, but on the very soul of the Republic. Every meticulously penned word was a step towards a more perfect union, a quiet drumbeat for progress. One quiet afternoon, you had secured an appointment with a newly elected legislator, a man known for his rather conservative views on the proper role of women in society. The air in his spacious office felt heavy, thick with the scent of old wood and the dry, musty aroma of countless stacked papers, like the accumulated weight of tradition. He sat behind his enormous, imposing desk, his gaze cool and probing as a winter breeze sweeping over you. He offered a polite, almost imperceptible smile, then stated, his voice even and flat like a perfectly planed board, that women should not bother themselves with politics. That is the domain of men. You felt a faint chill prickle your skin, like a whisper of doubt, but the core of your resolve remained unyielding. With a voice that was soft yet steady, calm as a deep river, you began to tell him, not argue, but simply recount the stories of women who had single-handedly managed vast farms, supplying crucial sustenance to the army, the very scent of earth and sweat clinging to every word as you spoke of their labor. You spoke of those who had quietly woven and sewn vital supplies, enduring endless nights by flickering lamps. You spoke of mothers who had tirelessly educated their children about the sacred values of liberty and self-government throughout the long, dark years of war. You simply told your story and theirs. When you finished, he remained silent for a long moment, his gaze fixed on the window, his expression unreadable, like a still pond on a cloudy day. Though he uttered no words of agreement,
You knew with a quiet certainty that the gentle whispers of justice had sown a small seed in his mind, creating the first subtle ripple in a previously still pond. You immersed yourself in the burgeoning network of small, determined women's groups, their shared purpose a silent, unbreakable bond, woven with threads of hope and common cause. Together, you meticulously drafted petitions, their words formal and resolute, demanding fundamental rights that had long been denied. You called for universal access to education, a light to banish the shadows of ignorance, the right for women to independently own and control their own property, a shield against economic vulnerability, and even the radical notion of suffrage, the fundamental right to cast a ballot and shape the nation's future. In clandestine meetings held in the cozy parlor of an old friend's home, where the warm, comforting scent of herbal tea mingled with the crisp aroma of fresh paper and ink, you and the other women gathered around a small, well-worn table. The flickering oil lamp cast dancing shadows on your resolute faces, as Sarah, a woman with eyes that sparkled with fierce intellect, shared how she had subtly convinced a distant relative, a respected judge, of the absolute necessity of educating girls, her words as persuasive as a gentle rain. You, in turn, shared updates on an essay you were tirelessly crafting, each meticulously chosen word a vibrant call to action, demanding property rights for married women, a voice echoing for justice. The soft scratch of quills on paper, the hushed murmurs of shared dreams, these created a powerful current of energy, silently connecting each woman to the other, a web of shared purpose. You knew with a profound sense of unity that these threads, delicately woven from belief and shared purpose, were forming a sturdy, resilient net of change, destined to catch the winds of history. Late into the quiet night, after a day filled with intense writing and tireless advocacy, you found yourself sitting alone by the window, the soft silver light of the moon painting ghostly patterns on your small garden below. A deep, pervasive weariness settled over you, heavy as lead, weighing down your very spirit. Will these efforts truly make a difference? You wondered, the question a tiny, nagging whisper in the vast silence. Will these quiet appeals for justice ever truly be heard amidst the clamor of the new nation's building? You closed your eyes, and in the darkness you saw them, the radiant faces of your children, their innocent laughter echoing in your memory as they grasped a new idea, bright as the morning sun. You recalled the profound gratitude in the eyes of the soldiers, their weariness momentarily banished by the warmth of the blankets you had helped create, a comforting balm to their souls. A low simmering fire ignited deep within you, chasing away the encroaching shadows of doubt, a hidden ember that refused to die. You knew then, with an unshakable certainty, that this was not a sprint, but a marathon, a long and arduous journey towards a distant horizon. Every single step, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, was a precious seed of hope, meticulously sown into the fertile ground of the future, a silent echo that would inevitably reverberate through countless generations. Though your tireless advocacy might not have yielded immediate, tangible results, indeed, American women would have to patiently endure for generations, waiting centuries before the sacred right to cast a vote was finally granted. You knew with a deep, profound certainty that your persistent efforts had irrevocably sown the fertile seeds for the monumental women's suffrage movements that would inevitably follow, like tiny acorns destined to grow into mighty oaks. Only the ancient, hallowed walls of those solemn meeting rooms, silent witnesses to countless hushed debates and unyielding arguments, truly knew the profound depth and resonance of those quiet, insistent voices, echoing through time like long-forgotten melodies. Those whispered pleas for justice, like tender seeds silently sprouting underground, pushing relentlessly towards the light, destined to break through the surface and flourish. You knew with a quiet conviction that hummed in your very being that every single journey of advocacy, every step towards a more just world was inevitably a long one, winding and arduous, like a river seeking its way to the sea. Yet you also understood with unwavering clarity that each deliberate step, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, held immense enduring value, a ripple in the vast ocean of time. Your profound legacy would not be defined by some immediate triumphant victory, heralded by celebratory parades and booming cannons. Instead, it would exist as a gentle, persistent echo, a soft murmur in the winds of history, a timeless reminder of the unyielding, quiet struggle for universal justice, delicately passed down through generations in the cherished stories of those who dared to dream of a better world.
As this story gently drew to its close, you stood gazing out your window, where a soft, ethereal breeze drifted by, carrying on its invisible currents the faint, sweet scent of wildflowers, a delicate perfume of hope and an enduring peace. You leaned against your sturdy writing desk, its surface worn smooth by countless hours of thoughtful labor, where old letters and petitions lay in neat, enduring stacks. Your fingers gently brushed against an old goose quill, its feather soft against your fingertips, worn smooth from countless hours of tireless writing, a silent sentinel of a momentous era. It was more than just a writing tool. It was a tangible, silent symbol of the voices that had been raised, of the profound dreams that had been meticulously woven into the fabric of a new nation, a tiny beacon in the vastness of history. You knew with a deep, quiet certainty that the profound work you and the other women had begun was not for the sake of loud praise or public acclaim. It was to sow the seeds, to lay the invisible groundwork, so that future generations could one day reap the harvest of true liberty. People often whispered that a profound secret, buried deep beneath the sands of time, was the truth that these founding mothers had not merely passed down wisdom, but an unyielding, resilient spirit, an undying flame of hope kindled from their very hearts. And you knew with a serene sense of fulfillment that this very quill, along with the quiet whispers of justice it represented, would continue to inspire, a timeless lullaby of resilience, echoing from the very heart of a free nation, a gentle, enduring reverberation that would never truly fade.
As the final whispers of this story gently fade, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to you, our cherished listener. Thank you for journeying with us, for opening your heart to these quiet echoes from the past. May these tales of enduring resilience bring you a sense of peace and a gentle spark of inspiration, much like the soft, unwavering glow of a candle guiding you through the deepest night. If these moments have resonated with your spirit, we would be deeply touched if you would share your warmth with a like, help our voices reach further by subscribing, or simply leave a comment below. Your presence is a precious gift, helping these whispers of freedom and strength continue to blossom, touching hearts for generations to come.